So glad you are with us on the Texas Wealth Report. Brad Johansson with Summer Roberts, Impact Partners Financial. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing very well today.
Yeah?
How are you?
I'm good. I'm trying to figure out where we go from here. I mean, 2025 is kind of, hello, every day is something new. And safety is kind of where people are feeling right now. So I want to spend some time on annuities today. And you go, uh-oh, what are we talking about? Well, we're going to talk about the good, the bad, and the truth about annuities. Because, Summer, look, what we've been told about this is, I heard somebody the other day say, oh, this is an annuity? Mm-hmm. I've been told to stay away from annuities. So if we go to the good, the bad, and we're going to avoid the ugly, we're going to go to the truth. Why is it that there is a stigma attached to annuities right now?
Well, I mean, simplistically, marketing, really. But no, realistically, I think it's twofold.
Okay.
Ultimately, number one, annuities are sold by insurance companies.
Yep.
Right? So insurance companies already potentially have bad reputations sometimes, right?
Sure.
And it's pulling money off of Wall Street to insurance companies. So, of course, they're going to bang their drums and they're going to
So the marketing is that, look, we've already told you, the market's the best place to be with your money.
Right.
Keep your money in the market. Don't be playing the safe stuff, because the safe stuff doesn't make you what the market can make you.
Exactly.
Okay.
And they're complex. They are. They're complex beasts. So if you don't know what you're working with or you don't know what you're doing, it can seem very overwhelming. And I think that for a lot of people, that overwhelming feeling just makes them say, no, this is too much.
Okay, so the marketing works into it. What's the negativity that's attached to that? Explain to me what it is, because if I'm saying, okay, insurance companies sell this, the market doesn't want you in it. Explain what an annuity is, because even somebody that I would talk to who says, I've been told I shouldn't be in it, and I said, well, why? Well, I don't really know what it is. Yeah. Tell us what an annuity is.
Well, honestly, Brad, that's probably the most common misconception that I get, is that people really don't understand them. So I'm going to try to explain this as simply as I can.
All right.
Okay. So basic rule is there's generally two different types, immediate or deferred, right? Immediate annuity is you put a lump sum of money in. Maybe I put $100,000 in, $500,000, whatever it is, and it pays me either for the rest of my life or for a certain time period, whatever I select. Similar to a pension, right?
Okay. So
that's an immediate annuity. The good thing is you can get income for the rest of your life. Yay, everyone wants a paycheck. One of the downfalls of the immediate annuity is that you basically lose a lot of control, right? Okay. So the alternative is what we call a deferred annuity. So with a deferred annuity, you put an amount of money in and you let it grow for a certain time period, right? Now, the key is how it grows. And that's a whole different ballgame, because then you're getting into another subset of different types of annuities. I told you they were complex.
So what you're saying is there are a lot of choices out there.
Yes. Is
it possible that the bad word, and you say marketing had this, but variable annuities are an entirely different thing. Mm-hmm. Is this where annuities got their bad name, from variables for the most part?
I believe so, for the most part. And, I think it's important to understand the different types of deferred annuities. And once you understand the main three types, then you can begin to break down the pros and the cons of each. And when you come to variable annuities, you'll see why they get a bad reputation.
Okay, let's break down some of the impact of, and maybe what those three subsets are. Can you lead us into a greater understanding? Look, if people are confused about this, We need to have it broken down and simply in a way that we can understand.
Yeah. So the most simplistic form I can tell you is the three main types. Number one is a fixed annuity, right? A fixed annuity is, I would equate it to like a CD, right? You get X% for 5 years. That's what you get. That percentage, it's a fixed rate, no more, no less. It basically is a flat line. That's what you're getting. It goes up, you're going to earn, but you're not going to make any more or any less.
Okay.
So that's a really good CD alternative, right? Because one of the pitfalls of a CD is that, what do you get at the end of the year? 1099.
Yeah.
You have to pay tax
You
on what you just earned in the CD. So in a fixed annuity, that's not the case because it's tax deferred, right?
Gotcha.
You will defer those taxes until you start pulling it out.
Okay.
So that's a fixed annuity. The other option is what you mentioned earlier, and that's called a variable annuity, right? So variable meaning goes up, down, the variable. So
Tied to the market.
it's tied to either mutual funds or tied to the market in some way, shape, or form,
Okay.
right? So the good thing about a variable annuity is when the market's doing great, you have the potential to make good money. But the downfall is when the market's down, you're going to lose money too, right? So there's no protection on the downside risk. But one of the things you mentioned is why they get such a bad reputation. And I believe with variable annuities, number one, your money's still at risk. But number two, the fees are excessive in variable annuities, in my opinion. The average fee that I see in my office when we run an annuity analysis is about 3%.
3%.
3%. So let's take that. If you're in the market's up 10%, you're paying a 3% fee, you're up 7%.
Yeah.
Right? But when the market's down 10%, they don't call you and say, oh, it's been a rough year, you don't have to pay your fees.
That's on top of the loss.
Right, so now you're down 13%.
Yeah.
Right? So, Brad, if you came into my office and I said, I have a really great plan where you get 70% of the gains and 130% of the losses.
So this is, what you're talking about is then zero floor strategies are the way to go.
That's what I think, yeah. That goes to the third option, which personally is what I use the most for my planning purposes, because it's kind of a hybrid between a fixed and a variable. When the market's up, you make money. When the market's down, you have a floor, and that floor is usually zero, right? So we watched in 2008 when the market tanked in the financial crisis of 2008. We always said zero's our hero during that time.
Yeah.
Because think about how many people would have preferred a zero. So the way an indexed annuity or a fixed index annuity works is when the market's up, you're going to make money. When the market's up, you'll make money. But when the market's down, you stay flat. You stay right where you are. And the best part of that is when the market starts recovering, you don't have to wait for it to catch up. You start making money right away. So that can be used with a proper plan to where you could make money, but your principal is protected.
This is kind of part of your Texas Wealth Report that you put together for everyone. And I don't think you're saying that annuities are for everyone. This is an individualistic type of thing. And it's a safety version for a lot of people that they may not have known about.
Right, because people tell me all the time, Brad, well, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. I'm scared of the market, but I don't know when to get out. I don't know where to go safe. And so what do? They just throw their money in the bank. So this is a really good option for those people who part of their plan, an annuity is not the plan. It is part of a bigger plan, right?
Right.
So it's a good alternative to say, okay, well, this is somewhere that your principal can be protected and your money is there, but we're going to make more than you're going to make in cash, right?
Right.
So it's a very good alternative. We look at it as a foundation to building your retirement house, ultimately.
So let's put together the foundation. And maybe you haven't even explored this, but you've heard that these are bad. And why is it now that there's an option? Well, coming in for a Texas Wealth Report is your chance to be able to, complimentary, put together all the pieces of the puzzle to say, is this for me? Are there different options that might work? Well, dial the number on your screen, 866-254-8026, or scan the QR code so that you can come in and put that as part of the plan. As Summer said, this isn't the end-all, be-all. It's part of building your fiscal house so that it will stand into and through retirement. Make the call now, scan the QR code. Maybe you've been watching for a while and saying, you know what, now is probably the time. Yes, the best time is now. Make the call, scan the QR code. Let's see you in the office to put together a Texas Wealth Report that works for you. We'll be right back.
Do you own an annuity? Are you aware of what type of annuity you own? For years, annuities have been a cornerstone of retirement planning, but they're not all created equal, and your current annuity may not be serving your retirement goals. With rising interest rates, that could mean better guarantees and better benefits for you. In short, potentially more income. Is your annuity up to date? See if your old annuity measures up. Call now for your complimentary annuity review.
Welcome back to the Texas Wealth Report. Brad Johansson with Summer Roberts, Impact Partners Financial. Talking a little bit about annuities, the good, the bad, and the truth about them. Do you have anything that gives us an idea of what we're looking at? I don't know, maybe chart-wise that we're looking at, that we can build an idea of how our fiscal house looks with an annuity in this vein?
Absolutely. So it's one of my favorite things.
All right.
So as we talked about before, my family went through Hurricane Katrina in our hometown of Biloxi, Mississippi. And after the hurricane, when we drove around, we saw a lot of foundations, right? But the foundations were there, and the families were able to rebuild should they choose. So that's why when we're building our fiscal house, the first thing that you want to lay is your foundation.
All right, you're going to build us a fiscal house.
Right.
All right, let's build the fiscal house. Jay, we may have this as well. Let's build the house together. So if you lay the foundation of the fiscal house, what does this look? This is your income level?
Well, preferably we want our income coming from here. That way we know it's there. My dad told me many moons ago, he said, Summer, people want the check in the mailbox. I said, well, Dad, you're showing your age now because no one gets checks in the mail anymore. But the point remains, people want that steady paycheck coming in, right? You shouldn't have to give that up when you retire. So the foundation, that's our protected money. That's the money that is going to be fine should a market crash happen or something of the sorts. So preferably we want to pull income from that so that we know our income isn't dependent on the market.
Gotcha.
Right?
Okay. And then we build where from there?
So after we build our foundation, what's the next thing you do in the house? You put the framing, the walls, right? So in the framing and the walls, think of it just like when a hurricane comes. Your foundation's secure, right? But your walls, it can take a good beating. It can crack, it can crumble, it can get flooded, as we know in Houston, right?
Yeah, you bet.
So, but it takes a heck of a storm to completely wipe down your walls, right? It takes a pretty huge storm. So that's where our low and moderate risk investments reside, is in the walls of our house, because it takes a pretty significant market storm to wipe those out, right?
Okay.
So then last but not least, what goes on the top?
Our roof.
A roof. And I know you don't have hurricanes where you are, but I'm sure you can answer this, that when a hurricane comes, what's the first thing that's damaged?
Well, we get plenty of wind. Yeah. We get plenty of tornadoes, and everything gets ripped off, and you got to go to re-roof the house, right?
Bingo.
All the big risk is in the top.
Yeah. So when a hurricane's coming on shore, the shingles start flying, right? So your roof is the first thing damaged. Same with tornadoes, right? And that's where, in our retirement house, that's where our high-risk investments reside. Because when there's a market storm out there, they feel it first. So the point of building your fiscal house is that first, you have to lay your foundation first, because without a solid foundation built on rock, not sand, right? Without that solid foundation, it doesn't matter what pretty granite countertops you picked out or the big garden tub. If you have a faulty foundation, your house is not going to withstand anything.
And that's where your income is.
Bingo. And that is where annuities come into play. They play a really big role in that foundation. Why? Because certain types, some are good, some are bad, right? We want to stay away from the bad, stick to the good. But if you find a good annuity, it will provide you the protection that you need in the foundation, and it can also provide you income for life. Two important things to get from the foundation.
No question.
Right?
No question.
So that's how we build our house.
Well, building the house, and this is something that you put in your book.
Yep.
I want to make sure people have a chance to get this as well. Retire with impact. And the understanding is that nobody goes and shows everybody the foundation. Come over to my house and see the foundation. But that's why the house looks so pretty, is because the foundation stays, which is why building the income engine within that. The annuities that you're dealing with right now, the products have changed so much for a lot of people. And I will say this, probably for a lot of people who have had annuities for 10 years, 12 years, maybe even 5 years, where the interest rates were very different at that point. Why is now a better time? And we say this a lot, that now may be the time to refinance your retirement. And why do annuities play that big a role? Why are the products changed so much from when somebody feels like they may have had something that was so bad 10 years ago?
Well, and it's not necessarily that what they had was bad. It's just that now there's better options, right? So that's why when people come in to see us, if they have an annuity, we will run an annuity analysis for them. We will run a report. We will explain, probably for the first time ever, they will completely understand what they have, because we will explain it to them. And we'll go through the fees. If there are fees or excessive fees, we'll go through those line by line and explain what those are. So it's not necessarily that what they had before was bad per se. It's just that times have changed, and these companies have gotten better and more creative, and interest rates play a role in that as well. And so what there is now may be better, but without the annuity analysis, we'll never know.
So the idea is you want better, because better is better. It's all included within the Texas Wealth Report if you come in. And as I said, Retire with Impact is Summer's book. That is yours free as you come in for an appointment. A lot of you have watched and said, you know what, I'm not going to come in. I like the ideas. Actually, nobody's ever talked to me about some of these things, and maybe now is your time to call. 866-254-8026, or scan the QR code so that you can come in and see what your fiscal house looks like. Do you have your foundation set? How are the walls looking for you right now? And do you have too much danger in the roof that if a storm comes in the financial markets that you have right now, that your house is going to be blown away? 866-254-8026. Let's put together a wealth report that works for you. We'll be right back.
How did I become a financial advisor? Basically, when I was a teenager, my grandfather passed away. And my grandmother, what we found out afterward was she was left with a mess. There were accounts, policies that we didn't know why they existed. It literally took my family years to get everything in order for her. She didn't know where her income was coming from. She didn't know if she had enough money, and her health took a toll. So I watched that, and I just realized at a pretty young age that I don't want people to have to go through what my grandmother went through. Seeing her go through that was very traumatic at a young age. And so I've always had that in the back of my mind. So as I got older, I had a career that was very good and successful. But when the opportunity came to learn this business from my dad, I hopped on it because I knew that doing this business and learning this business that I could make a much more direct impact with families just like mine and help them and hopefully prevent a situation like my grandmother was in.
Welcome back to the Texas Wealth Report. Brad Johansson with Summer Roberts, Impact Partners Financial. We're talking a little bit about annuities today. The good, the bad, the truth. If it sounds so good right now, why isn't everybody rushing to this right now, Summer?
I ask myself that question all the time. But no, I ask people. As a matter of fact, there was this couple that came in to see me years ago. We had built their entire plan.
Okay.
And we had talked about including fixed index annuity as part of their foundation. And one of the things that they shared with me was, but I don't want my money tied up for that long. And that is something that I hear over and over again.
Because what's the time frame on most annuities?
Well, for a good annuity, you're looking at 7 to 10 years, basically. And some people they don't want to make that time commitment. But what happened when Robert and Sarah came to see me, they told me that. They didn't want to tie up their money for that time frame. And we were looking at a 10-year time frame. So they went on with their lives. Their money was in the market. They retired. They started taking money out of their account for income to supplement income. Life was fine until the market had a correction. And their $500,000 account went down, right? But they still needed the same amount of income. So now they're pulling a larger percentage of an account that's going down. And I will tell you that unfortunately we see this a lot. And with Robert and Sarah, it took, 12, maybe 13 years for them to recoup those losses. So where's the time commitment now, right? So when you lose money in the markets, that's a time commitment as well, right?
And the difference is in your retirement, you don't have the runway.
Exactly.
You may not have a 10 to 13 year runway to try and build that thing back up.
Right.
You put this in the chapter 1 of your book, Retire with Impact, foundation of a good plan. And the foundation, as we talked about earlier, is an income plan to make sure that you have something that's going to, as your grandpa said, I want my mailbox money. This is the idea that you know that you have guarantees coming back and through. Why is it, you begin the book with it, why is it so important in finding a good plan? And the only way to do that is kind of with a fiduciary independent advisor. What's the difference between buying one of these annuities somewhere else and buying it with a fiduciary when you say there are so many of these products out there?
Oh, sure. There's a lot of companies that sell this. There are a lot of people that do this. But remember, if you're looking at an annuity, it is part of the plan. It is not the plan. So the reason you should make sure you're working with a fiduciary or an independent advisor is because, well, at Impact Partners, we're independent, which means that we are not beholden to one company, right? I always say my clients are my boss, not the companies, right? So that allows us to, goodness, we work with so many companies. We can find the right fit for the strategy. So at our company, we build the strategy and the plan first. We're not looking at the product and saying, where can I fit this? Can they afford it? The difference between a fiduciary and a non-fiduciary is that we are held to higher standards, right? As a fiduciary, we have to do what's in the client's best interest first and foremost. Whereas someone who is not is held to what we call a suitability standard, which basically means if they have enough money and they can afford it and it's suitable, they can sell it. It may not be right for them. Those are two totally different things. So as a fiduciary, it's important to build the plan, set up the strategy, and then go find the accounts or the products that work for the strategy you're trying to achieve, instead of the other way around.
Texas Wealth Report. Very quickly as we run out of time, what's it look like as people come in for a Texas Wealth Report?
Well, the Texas Wealth Report is a comprehensive look at your entire retirement. We all know that retirement is a bunch of puzzle pieces that have to be put together. The thing is that when people come see us, they have stuff, they've saved well, but none of it is actually working together. So a Texas Wealth Report takes a look at your income, whether it's pension, doing a pension analysis, Social Security optimization. If you have some type of annuity, we'll run an annuity analysis. So we look at all aspects of the income and figure out how to nail down the income. Then we focus on risk, and last but not least, we have to cover taxes.
We're going to get to taxes in a little bit as well on our next program, because it may be the single biggest hurdle, but you need the puzzle pieces put together in a Texas Wealth Report. Make the call right now. Scan the QR code, come in so that we can put together a plan that makes your retirement last. Your time is valuable. We're grateful that you spent some of your time with us today. Now we can't wait to see you in the office and put together your personal plan. And we'll see you right back here next time on the Texas Wealth Report.